Good morning and welcome to TalkSports, our weekend program. It's unusual, but sort of unusual, I would say, for reasons. Okay. Yes. So we just have what we call an open discussion today. We'll continue our discussions on various topics, sporting developments. And as usual, I want to welcome my co-host in Toronto, Mr. Rudian Silvan. Good
Good
morning to you.
morning, sir. Good morning. Good morning. How you doing? And to your listeners, wherever you're at, pleasant good morning to you as well.
Right. And as indicated, we'll just be discussing a number of issues, as you can see. Um, um, I'm on the go, right?
On the go.
Rudian?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
You're on the go.
And you may understand that
Yeah.
in a moment. Yeah. So a number of things as we continue our discussions from last week in particular, right? Well, I should say we because I just did a live, but so many things have been happening as we saw. I don't know if you witnessed or heard that there was a welcome ceremony for Afi Fletcher last evening. Yes, last evening she returned home because following the tournament, she obviously has some R&R and she returned home
Yeah.
yesterday. And there was a welcoming party, including the Minister of Sports, Delma Thomas, and other folks. I noticed there were some photos and videos of school children as well. I assume they're from probably her area, that's from Afi's area, probably her past school or whatever it is like that. So, but that was very interesting. And, I thought it was commendable to keep her basically in the loop, because most times I think there is a, a notion that only if at the Olympics and the World Championships, and it has to be track and field maybe, but
I'm gonna be credited. Yeah.
yeah, it's good to see that Afi was in the loop as well. And I think
Yeah.
I'm certain you agree with that.
Yeah. Most definitely. I think that should be for all of our athletes and be getting their acknowledgement. It helps them
Yeah,
to continue on and knowing that there's a nation, there's a country um, supporting them, not only their family and friends. So certainly I think that is good. And it should be a continuous thing for all of our athletes. That's an acknowledgement. Even athletes who is in the university, who come back home, not necessarily a parade, but an acknowledgement,
yeah,
acknowledge them back, if they're back home now, I think that's helpful for sports in our region, in our area, in our country, and it's good for our young athletes knowing that the country definitely support them. So I think that's a
yeah.
good thing.
And as you say, no matter the sporting discipline, right?
Yeah,
It's always welcoming when we can show some level of
show
appreciation.
some
Yeah,
appreciation. Yeah.
when those folks are returning, that's good to know. So that's I want to congratulate Afi Fletcher because we spoke about Afi, Rudian, and just to spend a few minutes on that as well, just a few moments on that as well. At her age, right?
Mhm.
We won't really see that level of performance, that high level of performance in other sporting disciplines. Not even, well, probably domestic, probably the footballers just,
Mhm.
as they say,
Yeah,
taking a
yeah.
sweat,
Take it yeah, yeah, yeah.
sweat, something like that. But nearing 40 and competing at that high caliber, probably one or two, probably folks in track and field that may be at that level, the
Yeah,
marathon, the long distance
yeah,
running,
yeah,
these sort of
yeah, yeah,
things
yeah,
like that. So,
yeah.
not the sprints, not the short sprints, and things like that. So,
Yeah.
so
I mean,
after,
I think at this age it is more of maturity in the sport, understanding the sport more than others. And for years I used to say if the type of money, I'm just using money now, that is in the sport now, maybe just going back, let's say we go back 10 years, just using 10 years maybe. Um, I think Michael Jordan, Shaquille O'Neal, those guys would have still be playing,
oh yeah,
because
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean
yeah,
they
yeah,
at that level, because they are so knowledgeable on the sport. We see it in golf. You see these guys in them older ages playing golf, and sometimes the level they play now is better than when they were young because they understand it more better. And I think that's really what it is. Um, let's use Kirani for an example. He's running as well now based on as a young age because there's more of an understanding of the sport. He knows how to
Well,
run the 400 now. The knowledge of the sport is there,
yeah.
and those type of thing is there, right?
As a matter of fact,
So I think that
as a matter of fact, he's running faster.
yes,
Even
man, he's
to
running
some
faster.
extent, because
We see LeBron James at his age. We saw Tom Brady at his age. We saw Aaron Rodgers right now still playing at his age. Um, Shelly did come back. We're hoping that she continue at her age. You see a lot of these people who, when they have kids, they come back. We see that knowledge and that because of the knowledge they have in the sport of how to manage themselves, how to, they know what to do with their body. The younger generation today, this era of this generation today is different. Yes, some of them are faster. Some of them will come in and break world records, but I always say anyone could really break a record. Anybody can break a record. You just go there, you do it one time, but can you maintain? And those athletes maintain something.
yeah,
And yes, it's good to have the record, but there is that maintenance of how it is. Again, Kirani don't have the world record, but he's a better 400-meter runner than the world record holder based on maintaining how the sport, how we control the sport and how you manage everything towards his career. So it certainly is, there is more to it than just a record. So it's good to have it, but it's more to it. So seeing the way Fletcher is playing right now is being herself because she wonder to herself. I mean, when the day will come on my interview and she will say, I don't know how I do it. I don't know. It just happened because I think that maturity is there for the sport and they can do it. When we go back to the guys, the Ambrose, the Brian Lara, we see how these guys in them playing. If these guys in them could have come back and played, in a few years after they retired, they'd have been so much better than they was before because they understand the sport a lot better than then. So yeah, it's maturity.
well, yeah, and some people may ask, I don't know how they do it, but
No,
somehow,
no, I don't know. You use the Michael Jordan. I don't know. You just start shooting. I don't know. You just start doing things, right? So
but
that's what it is.
I think the underlining thing that, and you mentioned it, it has to do too with the experience.
Experience, maturity.
They
Yeah,
go and they come back, and
yeah,
sometimes for them it's a sort of reflection out while they're
yeah.
out. There's a sort of reflection,
Reflection.
and
Yeah,
yeah, and they return with adding with the experience and the
yeah,
vigor, and
yeah,
sometimes it may have a mental thing to do with it because then they may have to prove their worth. It's like
yeah. And that too. I have to own
yeah,
my spot.
right, that
So
sort of thing.
so they have to
Um,
put it out there. I have to own my spot. So you see,
yeah,
they're putting the work in. Like look at, I mean, you just said Aaron Rodgers. I mean, 40. Yeah, he had to own his spot to be the number one quarterback. I mean, there's others that's younger than him, but he had to own his spot. So we see that same thing with football players. They have to own their spot. I mean, not Messi because I mean you have Messi in the team. You gotta play Messi, like not a Messi, but other players have to own their spot, and you hear it all the time. You go to these camps, they have to own their spot. It's not just yeah because I am the experience and I've been there. No, and that's the difference in how they maintain themselves, how they keep their body, what they eat, and all this stuff for them is different now because they know what it takes now to make it to the next level. The younger generation coming in feel that they have it already because of the one or two things that they might do. So, and again, they say it, hard work pays. So when they put in the hard work, it pays.
let's say morning to Gordon. Blessings, family. Greetings to you, gentlemen, and members of the sporting grand jury. Also, Jason Skeet, morning. Jason is saying, playing the sport as opposed to mastering the craft.
Yeah.
That's the line between youthful
Between, yeah,
exuberance and maturity. And I think that word maturity too.
maturity. Yeah.
Yeah, because they go out, they reflect, and it's all about the level of maturity coming back.
Yeah.
It has to do with the experience, the
Hmm.
the level of maturity, and as you say, there can be this mental pressure as well. um whether or not I am being considered an old man or an old woman in the sport, and
Yeah.
earning
Yeah.
my place among the young
Hmm.
ones.
Yeah. And
Having to
and
prove.
And exactly, I had to prove that, and a big part of it is the mentality. Like like you said, you put Kirani on the 400-meter starting block, starting line, compared to a lot of young guys, they're panicking. They're afraid. But he's calm and collective because he mature enough to know. Now he knows two things. Okay, I'm at this age, so if I don't perform to the best, it's understandable because I'm at that age. You know, so I know I don't need to be scared. I just have to go out there and perform. So that also that I think that also helped. That also make a big difference.
Mhm. Kobe Bryant 8 as opposed to Kobe Bryant 24, and what at the same time you mentioned about LeBron James and you know playing along with his son, for example.
Yes, yes.
Um, do you think there is a level of pressure on both athletes in the case of LeBron and then on his son having to probably, the level of expectation, you know, there's some level of expectation because he is the son of LeBron James.
Yeah.
And
A part
LeBron is
of
not
it,
there, you know?
in the beginning, a part of it was marketed for LA Lakers. Um, the first game, everybody was there. Name who you are, you was there. You're talking about $10,000 seat, right? So it's a marketing thing, and I think how much would it help Bronny playing with his son? I think it's LeBron playing with his son. It is good for Bronny. Yes, I'm playing my father. Not much people have done it. I think the only the only thing I can remember was baseball, I can't remember the name of the baseball player where he and his son and play together on the same team. But we don't really see that happening. So that is something significant. And I think there is an educating thing on the bench. How we talk to him. Hey, look at this, look at it. So I think it's more of it'll be a lot of teaching things. So it's beneficial for Bernie compared to LeBron is going to do LeBron. And we see how he's playing. He's still playing, the top of his game, and you don't need to show that to his son because his son have seen him over the
Yeah,
years, what he has done.
but Rudy, and the question I'm asking again, the level of pressure, because on both athletes, right? Because yes, one would be Bronny, whether or not there's some level of expectation, he is the son of LeBron James. LeBron is
Yeah.
rated as
I
one of
think
the best.
the pressure
Okay,
will be
and then
more
on the other hand,
on the son compared to LeBron. I think
yeah,
the expectation.
mhm.
I think it's more on him. Yeah.
But then at the same time, if he's not performing, how will Father LeBron James feels um, as the father, as the almost the bedrock of the LA
Yeah. Yeah.
Lakers?
I,
So there's some
I,
level of pressure on
I,
both.
I, I don't know how much pressure that LeBron will have. I think it's really going to be more on the son. I think LeBron will always be LeBron. He'll do what he have to do. He won the expectation. But I also think when we talk about maturity, he also understand that his son didn't went first round for a reason, right? So he understand that. So the whole point is, yes, I'm playing with my son, but my son is not
Yeah,
the best rookie. He's not the best one. So if he don't perform now the way I wanted to, you hope that later on he would. So I don't think so. But I
but
just think that from
that may
Burnett
be
side, yes, yeah.
that may be LeBron, because we have LeBron James as the player
Hmm.
and we have him as the father, right?
Yeah, yes.
And then you have um, his son
As
as
the
a
player
player
and as the
and as
son.
the son of, and then you have the fans as well.
Yeah, yeah,
You have the
yeah,
fans because there's some
yeah.
level of expectations from the fans.
From the fans, yeah.
Yeah,
And that goes for
because they
every
want
athlete that comes in, yeah.
they want
But
to see
he have
what he
what he
brings to
brings
the table,
to the
right?
table, yeah. And he have a bigger expectation because of who the father is.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Compared
a bigger
to
expectation. Yeah,
any ordinary Tom Joe who came onto the team, right?
yeah,
There is not that level of expectation or this pressure where he can be benched anytime. But then how do you see yourself as the father and as a player and having my son benched, right?
Yeah.
Having my
And
son not being lived up to the
up to
expectation.
the expectation. And I think it's really going to be off a lot. Like I said, being on the sidelines, being on the bench with those guys. I think it's key
Mm,
because he will teach him a lot. He will sit next to him and show him certain things that he may not do with a lot of the other players, or even because LeBron is also that leader, right?
mm,
So that leadership is going to come because in the game there is no a father and son. Yes, we say father and son, but in the game there is no father and son. It's about the W. We need to win, and that's really what it is. Whatever it takes to win, we need to win. Because I mean, you could say yeah, father and son, and lose all 82 games. Then that's the whole. What's the whole point, right? Yes, you have your son playing with you, but you lose 82 games. So that's how I seen it. I think it's more there's that education part of it that Bernie's the son is going to get a lot of on the bench to show him certain things, say him to calm down. Because we heard a little piece of it, when they before they went on, where he's telling them, you see what to do, calm down, just play your game, those type of things, right? So I think that is what really going to help him a lot more, and then later on maybe LeBron need to be out of the league. Maybe he needs to leave for his son to rise up. Maybe we don't know, right?
So Jason is saying here that I think it was a poor tactical decision. It's bad pressure for both of them. Given
Yeah,
everything, I would advise Daddy to retire, allow his son to get into the league and make his mark for a year or two, then make a dramatic return for 1 year. That would have removed the psychological pressure of this young guy wanting to impress his father and putting more unnecessary pressure on himself. Bronny will not get the respect he deserves flying alongside his father, and
no,
that's concern about whether or not, um,
it's LeBron is
yeah, whether or
yeah,
not he will
we're
be
not
able
he's
to
but
alongside
I
his
think,
dad. You know,
but I also think too is the team. If you go to a different team,
well,
I think playing along with him is that's what he said. Either he retire and allow his son to play, or the son is at a different team. And I think the son would be better at a different team. And now I'm playing against my dad. I need to show off. I need to step up. No, he's not playing against his father. He's playing with his father. So I think being on a different team is a better option than playing with my father. I know the hype of it is yes for the father is good. And as much as is it the same feeling that the son have? Yes, I'm playing with my dad, or the father said, "Man, I'm playing with my son." I think that
yes.
the feeling is more there. Yeah,
So there's a level of distraction,
I
right?
think there's a level of distraction. He should have been at a different team, and then he probably would have been playing much better.
Yeah, all right. So Jason is agreeing with you that yeah, in terms of probably another team,
Another
um,
team, yeah.
or as they
LeBron
indicated,
take a step up, take a step
take a
back.
step back, allow
Yeah,
him to,
to,
to
to play. Yeah,
flourish,
yeah.
shine,
Yeah,
and then you
because
can.
every mistake he make, every bad shot he take, it's like, oh my gosh, those type of things, right?
It's
Yeah,
almost he's playing, and it's almost a reflection on LeBron, right?
LeBron. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it may be probably
So yeah,
LeBron James 1.5, not a 2.0.
yeah,
Something like
yeah,
that. So they could be
yeah. So you suddenly will see him playing somewhere, and then somebody else would be mentoring him. Like you go to the Suns, you have KD, or you go somewhere where you have someone else mentoring him than playing with the father being mentored. And I think sometimes it's hard to coach your kids. It's tough because you might want the expectation for him to step up to your level, and they might have to go somewhere, and that may happen. He may be traded. I mean, we don't know how long LeBron is going to be in the league again. Maybe that's his last year. We don't
right.
have a clue. Yeah,
Yeah, well, that to me is another thing. One other thing, boy, we heard about is the possibility. Well, I shouldn't say possibility. I think it's just a matter of waiting for the signing. But we do have a local basketball player. His name is Enel Saint Bernard. Well, in fact, we spoke about him briefly on a
yeah,
recent program with Kyron Batiste, right?
yeah,
Yeah, and it had to do with him, Enel um, Saint Bernard. he actually has committed to Indiana State University. In fact, it's the alma mater of Indiana State, is the alma mater of the great Larry Bird, right?
Yeah.
And it's a Division One, program. It's at the top. Indiana State in terms of basketball,
Indiana.
you know.
Indiana. Yeah.
Yeah. We expect an official announcement from the university, Indiana State University, in the coming days, because there is an NCAA policy that the official announcement, I should say, must be made after a certain period. Okay. And I think the date is after the 6th or 7th, something like, or the 10th, something like that. So, but for as far as we know, he has already committed. The signing will take place, and the official announcement will come. What it means, though, too, is that he will become the first Grenadian, the only Grenadian so far to play at that level. I mean, we had Cyril Cox, for example, back then, but not at that level, right? That Division One with Indiana State, I don't think any other Grenadian basketballer had reached that level. That's exciting. That's big news. And I want to say congratulations to Kyron Batiste and the Kellen Batiste Foundation, Inc. They have been, behind all of that. And in fact, they're looking to get a cadre of young sportsmen and sportswomen, and particularly basketball, even though it's the Kellen Batiste Foundation. And, Kellen was basically football, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kyron has his brother who is behind the foundation has a bias to basketball, However,
Yeah.
he is also assisting in not just in basketball, also in football and other sporting disciplines, right? Through that foundation. And it's good to see that Enel Saint Bernard will be. And I think there are other players who are in the pipeline, and we can hear some good things about them. Though Enel would not be in competition or start with Indiana State until next June, right? These things, it takes a while, okay? He starts next June. But that's very exciting news. And I want to say kudos to Kyron Batiste and the Kellen Batiste Foundation, Inc. for that, because sooner or later we'll have someone who will be rooting for in Division One. And I say, where if you know about college basketball, as they say, college hoops, Indiana State is highly ranked in the NCAA Division One basketball. So that's
Certainly.
At the same time, though, I want to make an appeal, Rudy, because we have, over the past few months, we have been talking about various sporting disciplines, etc., etc. There are a number of sporting associations in Grenada that are basically very dominant. They have executives, and there's nothing, period. I don't know what's taking place in basketball, for example. I mean, exciting news on the part of, Enel Saint Bernard and, Kyron and those guys. But in terms of basketball as a sport in Grenada, I don't know about any teams in training, any club competition, whatever. I know a few, probably about a year ago, there was a big issue, and they even took issue with me on the program because of who I had, and blah, 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 speaking about basketball and challenging the executives and things like that. So, and, they basically have stayed away. That's the problem we have with these people who put themselves up for executive positions. If someone challenges status quo, they push you aside and blah, blah, blah. But we give them time. And up to this period of time, I mean, I remember the same Kyron Batiste and Wilbur Thomas and all of them were saying the same thing, right? Because these are the guys who were trying to make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
There were all kind of things that they were saying about them trying to come and take over basketball and this and that. this and that and all sorts of things like that. And these are guys who have their programs. They have programs, annual programs. They spend all their money to assist in the development of the sport in terms of training and coaching, etc., etc. They bring personnel at their own cost to Grenada to have clinics, all sort of things. Yet for all, they thought that they wanted to take over basketball. Give them the opportunity now. That's the association. And there isn't anything. Well, I don't know. Probably Rudy and you probably know, but I have not
I don't know. I haven't heard
anything.
anything.
Whether
Yeah,
it's
I haven't
club
heard anything.
competition, whether it's training, whether it's even a
Anything. Yeah.
friendly tournament, whatever it is like that. So gone are
No,
the
I don't hear
days of
anything.
German
Yeah.
McKee, German McKee on the carnage, gone are those days where he used to be with or without an association, there will be a basketball tournament.
Yeah.
He will have his basketball tournament. He will invite teams to come and participate. You will see guys training regularly because there's some tournament coming up that is organized on the Carnage, or they're going to St. Paul's, or they're going to Grandance and things like that. So gone are those days, right? But we have an association, we have an executive, right? And by the way, that's just basketball. There are other sporting associations that they need to do something, right? And mind you, Rudy, and I'm giving you advance notice. Come 2025, we will be at them, right? We are calling them out. So
Yeah. No, certainly,
we're
certainly.
giving them notice between now and then to
I
get
mean,
those in order.
yeah, and certainly, and we have seen it, and we've been on the show. We talk about it, where we need the tools, and the tools in terms of facilities. The netball need an indoor facility, and you have an indoor facility that will be both netball and basketball. That's possible. Um, so a lot of these guys playing on, the hard court, as we call it, basketball. Um, that don't get you to college. That don't get you to the NBA. Those things don't get you there. You have to have the proper tools, to get them there. It's a start, but you have to have the proper tools so that you got to have the tournaments. You got to have an indoor facility, and we talk about it. And that same indoor facility could be for both netball and basketball. Where you have recruits who now coming from the United States and coming from the French, the French and the Spanish and the European countries to say, yes, we want this big man. And sometimes we have it, but if we don't utilize it, then there is nothing, right? So definitely, we have to be able to put some things in play, and hopefully 2025, since we are coming to the end of the year, um, changes, hoping that the right people is in places to make those decisions. And that's what we hope. But year after year after year, nothing, man. It's
See, the issue
time after
is,
time after time.
yeah, Rudy, and the issue is that
Yeah,
at the end of the day, it's our sportsmen and sportswomen who are suffering,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
at the hands of these administrators, right?
yeah.
Listen, if you folks are not serious, then make way
Make
to the
way. Yeah,
honorable thing,
make
right?
way.
Make
You
way for
know, you know,
others.
you know. I said something, Michael, and it doesn't matter whose administration goes in power. You could be able to call them out, and a lot of these failures come from
Mhm.
the leadership of the government in power. A lot of the failures come in there because you have people in position who don't care for the sport or don't have any desire for anything from in every ministerial field, from health go all the way down to agriculture, and you don't have that. Put people in charge, and I get the logics of certain people have to be in certain position, but you could have Michael Bascom in charge of the Ministry of Health, for example, but having one of the ministers oversee you because you know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. You have somebody in a position who knows what they're doing, somebody in agriculture. They don't have to be called a minister, but you have them in charge of it with a minister overseeing them.
Well, but sometimes it
It's
doesn't
it's
necessarily have to be. Minister in the
No, no, I understand that,
yeah,
but
yeah.
we
I
need
understand
people
the
in
context.
position who knows what they are doing, and stop with putting people because they are a minister that they are good for the job. They are not,
Yeah.
and
But
that goes for every government from the time I'm knowing government.
yeah.
That's
But
how it is. Yeah,
the important thing is we and yeah, whether it's from government to the sporting associations, all of
yeah,
them, what we need, and sometimes you ask yourself the question, small islands like Grenada and others in the Caribbean with probably, for example, an association may just have probably 10 clubs, as
yeah, yeah.
affiliates, thing like that. Probably the Football Association, and it's probably the largest in terms of
The
affiliates, and
largest. Yeah, yeah,
right. But you're talking about the average might be 10, even less to some extent, right?
yeah,
Yet for all, they have so many issues in organizing
yeah.
tournaments, competitions, training, and things like that. So many
And that
issues.
and that all because they have I believe they have the wrong person in charge. They what they desire for it is
Okay,
not for helping the
so
sport. Sport is to help the athletes, and if you're there and it's not there to help them, then and that's why we're seeing the parish council come in, and that's what we should be making a big difference.
yeah,
That's
but
what this is
Rudian,
in difference.
yes,
But
but the parish councils and the National Sports Council could only be effective if we have efficient and effective sporting associations, right?
yeah,
Because they have to work together some
they
way.
have to work together. So that was
My
my
thing
next thing.
is,
They
my
have to
thing
work
is that
together.
if you're an association, I just asking that. Let's say Rudy and both of us, well, three of us, myself, you, Jason, just for reference, we have let's call it a ping pong association. You're president, I'm secretary, Jason is PRO, whatever, vice president. We have our executive meeting. Tell me what it is we're talking about when we have executive meeting. What it is we'll be talking about when we have executive meeting. We have a functioning association. We have we have affiliates. Let's say we have 7 affiliates, one in each parish. What could be the priority of our discussions when we meet? Because according to the constitution, and I don't know, except some constitutions have meeting once per year. But I don't know of any sporting association that will be meeting once per year. At least it might be meeting once per month, probably
Yeah,
average. Some of them might meet more often than that. I know football, in terms of executive, they might be meeting probably once, probably every 2 weeks, whatever. It depends. But I want to know what it is, and as an executive, 3 of us as executive members of the Ping Pong Association will be discussing, and we have 7 affiliates, right?
yeah,
7 affiliates, 1 in each parish, Carriacou included. And we're meeting probably every week or every other week. What it is we could be talking about? It must have to do with, and I'm saying our priority have to do with either training. Well, if ping pong is new, then we may have to talk about getting coaches and these sort of things. But I
yeah,
think one of our main agenda item will be at times will be competitions and and training and participation and all these sort of things.
yeah.
I mean, I don't understand. So that's why I'm asking the question of these associations, namely basketball and boxing, and I mean a host. When you look at the affiliates of
Mhm.
just the Olympic Committee, and here lies another problem too. These associations, as far as I'm concerned, should be affiliated to the Grenada Olympic Committee as Olympic
Yeah,
sports, basketball,
yeah.
boxing.
Basketball. Yeah.
So what when you have Olympic GOC meetings, for example, what it is they come in and talk about, what it is, and if I'm on the executive of the Grenada Olympic Committee, I will ask them for reports. I will ask them for an update of what is happening as an affiliate.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. I don't understand. Yeah, Jason say Or they didn't want to hear me on that because they might report the page. Yeah, Jason. Yeah, I know, Jason. That's an answer.
No, it's certainly
Yeah,
true.
you will have a
Certainly
lot to
true.
say.
Yeah.
All they discuss is the next travel.
Is
Probably.
the next travel, and
Good,
it's unfortunately,
good
and it's
morning,
unfortunate
Martin.
for that.
Good morning, Martin.
The priority is no longer there, and we have seen this. Like I said, it's an annual thing. Basketball season come around, everybody basketball. This is not a, you know what I mean? It has to be something that is constantly, and then if you have an executive that is a 1 year in position, you got to constantly have things happening for that 1 year, not only waiting for the season to come about. And I think that's also one of the major problems that we have, right? So there's nothing going
So,
on. But if you have an
uh,
executive, you should be talking about, and then there should be, what is their home to do more than just compete?
well,
If you put
you
stuff
know,
together, all you have to do is compete. Like I said, it's only football that is going on. And yes, we get it. They have everything in place, and sometimes it's not always the best, but that is what we have, and it's flowing right now. So what about the rest of the sports? What about the netball? What
so
about the
so right.
volleyball? What
So
about
what we
what
do,
about all those things, right?
what we'll do is that as we say, we're getting towards the end of the year. We give them some time, blah blah blah, and then when we resume in the new year, because we normally take a break and things like that. So
Yeah,
people like Jason and them probably will be sharpened by then. They will be able to. He'll be
to
able
give us
to.
more.
No, he fashion his thoughts so that the page wouldn't be banned.
The page wouldn't be bad. Yeah, yeah, yeah. The page wouldn't be bad. Yeah.
I think that is, so no, but certainly we have to get that discussion going, and we have to start calling out these associations. And I mentioned the Olympic Committee because they have to. I mean, it rests on them as well. They have to
Yes. Yes.
share some of the responsibilities in terms of that because
Because of that. Yeah.
you're allowing that to continue.
Yeah.
Let's take Karen is saying, thanks, MB, for highlighting the need to reignite basketball in Grenada. We have to keep challenging the status quo. Basketball needs a reset. We have to get back to the fundamentals. We have lost it. Specifically, we need people in positions who care about the athlete. That's first and foremost. We need to do better. It's sad when it comes to basketball development in Grenada, right? Thanks, Kyron. Martin is saying, look, this year was the first time I've heard them include sailing and send someone sailing as part of the Olympics. Yeah, I think so, But then again, you see, that's the problem, Martin. There lies the problem, is the public education, right?
Mm-hmm.
Informing the public. So if sailing is an affiliate of the Olympic Committee, that is something the public should know about,
Should
right?
know.
Who are the affiliates? Who are the affiliates of the Olympic Association? Because from time to time you may have organizations that might be formed, because I think, for example, there's a rugby association, whether or not they are affiliated, whether any winter sports, for example, because some years ago we had a big issue with the Italians and winter sports and blah blah blah, all these sort of things. But there should be something about who are the affiliates of the Grenada Olympic Committee. So something like that in terms of sailing, like Martin is questioning. We should know that sailing is Olympic sport, and it's also affiliated to the Grenada Olympic Committee by way of a sailing organization, whatever, like how we have triathlon and all these other, non-traditional sports. Jason says, I'm walking with the loudspeakers. Good morning, Patrice James. How is Karaku? If you're in Karaku. I know sometimes. She said, I love basketball too, but, and the question mark, I know. I know when you put the question mark what you're saying. Sailing is a big part of the Olympics. Yes, it is, right?
Huge.
And it is also, there's a lot of sailing sometimes taking place in Grenada, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially
Mm-hmm.
regatta, but not just Grenada, Karaku as well.
Karaku as well.
There's in Goa, for example, a lot of sailing. Well, I think, Martin, you might be saying that because somehow you might be involved in sailing. I know they used to do a lot of sailing up in Fontenoy and those areas there, but particularly in Grandans and Go Off and things like that, Karaku, the regattas in particular. So as a sport, and I understand where you might be coming from, organized as a sport. And these are the sort of things I think come 2025, I'm making another effort to get either Mr. Bonnie Wilson, the president of the Grenada Olympic Committee, because mind you, when he became president, I wrote to him and asked him for an interview to be on our program. He acknowledged after quite a while and said that give him some time. He, just got in, settling down, which is understandable. But I think, Bonnie, you're going on to 2 or 3 years now, but I'm still waiting on you. But I'm hoping, because these are the sort of things, and mind you, it's no criticism per se. Eh?
No. Yes.
Getting the facts.
We want to know where they are.
Yeah. So what? So
but
questions
look at the next big thing now. We have cricket, who will now be an Olympic sport.
Olympic sport. What is the situation?
What is the situation there, right?
No, but hold on. I'm glad you mentioned that, because even though cricket was not, quote unquote, an Olympic sport, some Olympic committees, including the Grenada Olympic Committee, had accommodated cricket and netball, by the way, and netball. They are not Olympic sport, but because they are played at the Commonwealth level, we have cricket in the Commonwealth Games, netball in the Commonwealth Games. So by virtue of that, they were part of the Olympic Committee as affiliates, even though they are not. So it's just a matter of probably, with cricket coming on, it may be just a matter of formalization, right? But cricket, as the Grenada Cricket Association, always had an opportunity as an affiliate, quote unquote, an affiliate of the Grenada Olympic Committee. So I can give them that sort of credit. They have accommodated them. In fact, they have even assisted them in sometimes, right? Yeah. They have provided assistance. Netball got assistance from the Olympic Committee on many occasions in the past. And I think so too. And it's all because of, well, I shouldn't say because of, but Vida has a very interest. Well,
interest was netball. Most certainly, netball.
People think it's track and field, but third thing is really netball. Netball brought that level.
100%.
Yeah, brought netball. So she always has been trying to assist netball, right? And sometimes, it's just the association, I think you can do as much as you want, but if the associations don't want to, then that's it. But getting back to that point, we need to find out all the affiliates of the Olympic Committee, for example, and what sort of pressure the Olympic Committee can put on these national associations who are affiliates, who probably attend, I hope so, Olympic Committee's meetings. What they're saying.
Yeah.
You can't just be coming to the meeting and sit down and track and field speaking and football speaking and whoever speaking because they have, and swimming because they have competitions and they can give a report and and things like that. And basketball is there and they're not saying anything. And they're not saying, well, what they're doing for the whole year. You have been coming to the meeting and you can't even tell me what it is.
What is it you do?
Yeah, except probably to only say that I attended a meeting here and there. Rudyard. Rudyard, I said we'll wrap up at 45, but I just got word that I got an extra 15 minutes because I'm here in Detroit, by the way, headed off to East Lansing, and I just got word that we are sort of delayed in terms of departure. Yeah. So I got an extra 50 minutes, so that's good. Martin says the winners of Olympic sailing are the ones sailing in the America's Cup, the oldest trophy competition in the world. Yeah. The America's Cup. Yeah, that is big. There are sailing scholarships as well. Yeah, So I realized, Martin, you're making a pitch for sailing, which is not bad, which is understandable, and things like that. But yes,
to put Martin on the board of sailing.
Yes, but the idea too is that we have to, as Rudy is saying, Jason saying as well, we have to wake up some of these associations. They
No, we do.
yeah.
It's too long.
Because
It's
ultimately,
year after year after year after year after year of the same thing over and over and over, and it's like they're almost doing the same thing, hoping to get different results, and it's over. And it's not only because track and field is all day and the area of football. Track and field have this
but
problem. Football have this problem the same
yeah,
way, right? So yeah,
and Rudy, and there's a public perception, and you involved in track and field in particular will know that there's a public perception that sometimes track and field gets everything, all the
yeah,
attention on track and field, right?
that's not true.
And which is not true, right?
Yeah,
It may seem that way,
but it's not.
and indirectly seem that way because of the ineffectiveness of some of these other associations.
Yeah, yeah.
Because there's a lot they can do as associations, right? That can make things even it off then,
Yeah,
So it's not just
yeah.
track and field, because we're hearing a lot about boxing and volleyball and basketball and netball,
Especially now,
Yeah,
netball and volleyball is getting a lot of attention now, especially
yeah,
volleyball.
volleyball,
We've
yeah.
seen it happening now, and it's something that we have to do. And it's not only on the level of Olympics, but regional as well. The OECS, even that too. It doesn't have to be an Olympic sport. It could be, like I said, the Commonwealth Games, or even dealing something in the OECS. So there is also that idea as well. There is OECS championship at the same time. So we just need to know what is happening with all of those affiliates. And people want to know because they might have an interest. And if he's not speak about them, I think there is nothing. Like most of the time, people sit back because they say, "Well, I don't hear about that, so maybe they don't have that." So the young generation do not want to get involved in certain aspect of sports because they don't hear about it. So they only hear, if you ask 10 kids right now what sport they like, they're going to tell you either football or track and field. Okay, that's all they hear about most of the times, right? So they don't hear of the other things, or they don't see about it. So that has to change as well. And if you want to expand the sport in Grenada, and also a lot of this Olympic sport is to start it with grassroots. Get it into the, like you said, the even in high school or in the elementary school, and let it build up.
Because
So
because the question to, and I was speaking with Kyron a few days ago, Kyron Batiste,
yeah.
and I don't know when you, Rudian, was growing up, whether the sports that the sporting discipline that every boy wanted to be in at the time was basketball. Why? Because it was the era of the Jordans and Pippen and others. It was a television, right?
Yeah.
And every boy in particular wanted to be a Michael Jordan, right?
Yeah.
They wanted to be a Scottie Pippen and Magic Johnson and all these players and things like that.
Yeah.
Because
and funny.
Other sporting disciplines, they said, were being affected, right? They were complaining.
However, there were three sporting disciplines at the time. There's only three. So there were three sporting disciplines that was heavy in my time. And that was, like I said, the basketball. It was football. World Cup coming around, and then even you have Coca-Cola, you have the cup, you could win. Everybody wants to drink a Coke, you could win. Under the cup there is you put the glass and all these things in them. So that was exciting. And then it was cricket. Because in the time we're talking about the Ambrose and track and field was not a thing. We didn't even know who is what in track and field.
Track and field was complaining that other sports were taken away from them at that time, right?
Yeah.
Is the board era, is the
that changed everything. That changed everything.
And then track and field was because basketball. I mean, guys were flocking the court. They were playing
Yeah,
basketball even on the side
there
of the
was
street.
leagues. There was
Everything
leagues in
is.
Staters. There was leagues on the Staters, the St.
Hold
Patrick's
on, hold on,
Parish
hold on, hold on,
hardcore. There
hold
was
on,
leagues.
hold on. When you say there were leagues, let me tell you
There
something.
was there was there,
The late, the late Jericho Greenwich
yeah,
and myself, we used to leave every single day and go to Sotels. Devon Charles, I think, was the
yeah.
organizer.
There were Charles. Yes.
Go to Sotels to watch basketball in the night.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every
Nighttime.
single night, every evening, late
Yeah.
evening.
Yeah.
Myself, Jericho, and Fupi, we go into Sotels to watch basketball. So when you tell me
Yeah.
about that, I know. And when we go there, depending on when we get there, we have to kind of push we way through to get
Yeah.
to see the
To get
game.
to see the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
The stands full up.
that
Everything
was
was full up.
there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Basketball, as you said.
Yeah.
There was
Yeah.
cricket because everybody
Yeah.
either listening or watching cricket,
Or
right?
watching cricket. Yeah.
Watching cricket. There was nothing about track and field. Track and field
No.
came onto the scene when the Usain Bolt era,
Season.
and
But
then
track and field
added
was
to
a
that,
season
the,
thing. Track
the
and field, yeah, it was a season
added to
thing.
that would have been
Yeah.
Aline Francisque and the Kirani and them. But even when
Yeah.
during the Aline Francisque era,
It
we didn't
wasn't
have
still.
there wasn't this big following, right?
No.
I think it was the Kirani James era that brought people to the track and field, right? That
Even though it
yeah,
was there, like I said, it was
yeah, it
there,
was there.
but it was only there in season. Like I
Well, for
said,
the
when track and field
intercall and these
intercall,
sort of things. Yeah.
and then it was huge because it was big from the primary school sports and everything. It was big, and then it died down for the next year. We're talking about when it finished in what in Easter weekend or whenever it's intercall. After that, that was it until you started back again in either February. You know that was it for track and field for the
Yeah.
whole year. Nothing going
Nothing
on.
else. Yeah, yeah. But
Nothing
now,
going on. You know, it's a
but thanks
different now.
to you
Yeah,
have
it's a yeah.
a lot of track and field on television and all these other things. So let's get some comments there before we wrap up. Jason says all these associations need a shake-up. Some people may have to remain, but most of them will have to go. The Olympic Association as well needs to give more, do more, and demand more from their affiliates and local associations. Sportsmen and women are not benefiting as they should. Mr.
Mhm.
Ralph Lord is saying there are people working in the 17 affiliates to the GOC. However, a conversation will bring some clarity. Well, Ralph,
Clarity. Yeah.
um, I mean, I don't want to disagree with you, but I really want to have that conversation because it's not, nothing is showing. I don't know. Yes, it might be they're working, but nothing is showing what it is
Yeah.
there to show that they are working,
Yeah.
And I ask a question when they go to a meeting. So, for example, if you had a meeting last, probably last week or last 2 weeks, what it is boxing or basketball could have reported when you had that meeting? That's a question. I mean, what it is. I mean, I could understand volleyball giving an update of participation in competitions, training, because I've seen some things on social media, participation, etc. Training. I could see football saying about their competitions ongoing, all these sort of things. This what it is boxing could have said, what it is basketball could have said. I don't know,
Yeah.
but yeah, you say a conversation. I gladly welcome that. Jason says I keep saying fresh ideas and perspectives require fresh people and personalities. I know you have been
And
saying that.
I'll say that, Michael, just what Jason said, and he's right. And we're going to continue on. It's because we're in a different time. We're in a different time now where by so many different ways people have elevated the knowledge of thinking of how to do certain things. And what helped the most is because of the time of the vaccine, corona, the time of the idea that people had so much thought in their mind of how to get food to people. It was always there. They just never opened up that part of the brain to do that. How to train, how to do this thing. So a lot of stuff is there now because people open up that part of the brain to use that to have different ideas. And I think we have to have either some fresh people on some of this association who certainly have the ideas of How do we make this thing better? How do we get competition going? How do we do certain things? And then you need people that who have the first thing you hear somebody say you want to do something, where's the money coming from? First thing, and I heard it before. Where's the money? What's the idea? If you don't have an idea, how are you going to get the money? If you don't have a plan, how are you going to get the money? So it's the same thing. It's like the same thing goes with a job. But if you don't have a resume, how are you going to get a job? If you don't have something, so it's the same concept about it. So you need to be able to have some of the fresh ideas, put it down on paper. There's so many things you can think about, what we could do with the sports. We sit on here, we talk about it all the time. And I always like the idea of the parish councils together, because there is so much can be done with sports through them in the villages, in the parishes, and competition amongst each other. There's so much that could be done. But guess what's happening today, Michael? If a child come 15th in a competition, we need to give them a ribbon. No, they have to learn how to fail. You can't. The top 3 people get a medal, but no, they get a participation medal. To say that they compete in there. No, we're not teaching a lot of these kids and them the idea of how to lose today and I'm going to go walk and come back tomorrow. They're getting rewarded even when they lose. So a lot of these things, there have to be a change across the globe. So some people today, yes, is doing something, and the veterans who've been around, who said, no, this is what it is. Like again, Davida Bruno, we need her. The knowledge that she has in sports in Grenada, especially for netball and track and field, is needed. Because if she's gone, who is the next replacement for her? Who has those type of knowledge? Who put themselves in that position to require all this knowledge, so that if she's no longer there, we have our own to move forward and continue on with the knowledge of that she has. We don't have that right now. So people like Vida have to stick around because there's nobody else. So a lot of these people who's in position, they have to stay because there's nobody to take over. So we have to also put that in place. We have to have certain things in place. So sorry, continue.
Yeah, just to wrap up on some of the comments, and then let's have a wrap there. Let me see if I can get some information there as well. I wanted to make some things right. Who it is? It was I think it was Martin. Yeah, Martin was saying we keep recycling the same heads when it comes to leadership to these associations. He says also, no, the Carlos era. I think he was talking about the
era.
track.
Yeah.
At the time, we were only exposed to Olympics. The enthusiastic athletic era became big during the Otto
Bolton era. Yeah.
And then Martin says boxing had 2 boxing exhibitions around the island. Well, it depends, because there are 2 associations. And Kyron says the reality is we have not done anything different over the last 15 years. It's just been layers of the same thing over and over, and the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, hoping for a different result. I'll be starting the conversation soon in Grenada as to why there isn't a national basketball team in training. Can we even roster a 15-man squad right now for a friendly? That's a good question, Kyron. Certainly, these are the sort of things that need to be asked. There are 2 things. Oh, while we are at that, by the way, I just received this, that this is organized by the Ministry of Youth and Sports, by the way. 2 weeks ago, the start of the Subway Secondary Schools Basketball Championship, 3 p.m. on... The tournament starts on Friday, November 15 at 3 p.m. So Subway, it's sponsored by Subway, Secondary Schools Basketball Tournament. Thank you, Curlan Peters, for that bit of information there. So at least something for secondary school basketball.
Secondary school basketball.
Played at the Grenville Hard Court, the Golf Basketball Court, and the Carnage Sporting Complex. Thank you very much. And one other bit of information is that invitation, 40 years of karate with Hanshi Nigel DeGale. Ooh, it's in Japanese or Korean or whatever it is. I love that. Yeah, but it's actually today at the Grenada Trade Center, the gazebo. It starts at 6:30 in the evening. So Saturday, November 2nd, which is today, 6:30 this evening at the Grenada Trade Center, the gazebo. 40 years of karate with Nigel de Gale. Wow. Thank you very much, folks. Well, Rudian, another pleasure. I know it was tough because, as I said, I'm not sure we'll have a
Yeah,
program
yeah,
today,
yes,
but
definitely.
things gotta change. Hopefully, we'll be back on schedule for next Saturday. Everything
Yeah,
will be okay. By the way, we have a time change tomorrow, right? We're going back to
yes,
we're going forward, right? Well, it will be fall. No,
yeah. Fall
fall
forward,
back,
fall back, fall
back,
back.
sorry,
So
back.
again,
So,
yeah,
so,
fall back.
so the Eastern
Spring
Caribbean,
forward, fall back. Yeah,
Eastern
be an hour
Caribbean
ahead. Yeah,
overhead, right?
yeah,
So we have
fall
to
back. Yeah,
so next Saturday we'll have to kind of take up our time, because
yeah, 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 yeah.
we'll have to do our
But
proper.
certainly, for closing on a different note, we certainly know that come next week, the United States or the world either moving forward with Kamala Harris or going back with
Not
Trump.
sure. I'm not sure. Not sure about
Certainly,
that.
certainly there will be a president new
Well,
in the United States and a
that is
new
what I
world
think.
leader.
That is
Yeah,
what
and
I
a new
think.
world leader. Yeah,
That is what I think I would say.
yeah, and a new world leader. Certainly. But it's interesting, and I think you based on your job, you will be more relaxed, than be so tense over the past few weeks, traveling back and forth and different places. Some places you never been before, but it's good. Your job taking you some places that you have never seen, you never thought you'd have seen in your life. So certainly that's a good thing for
Not
you.
even for
You
not
get to
even
see
for
something.
vacation. Not even for
Not even for vacation, but surely you'll be great. And listen, the conversation is always good. Jason and all. We love sports, and it's not only for me being here in Canada and coaching out here, but for Grenada, and I want to see a better for Grenada. And I always say that I got the opportunity to go to the Olympics, which is the highest level in sports, and I always want to, see that a way of saying thank you by trying to give back in every way that I can. This is my way of saying thank you by seeing to it that sports is, something that moving forward for the young generation coming forward. So we are here with our thoughts on what we would like to see, and that's how we advocate for. We are not trying to say anyone is better or bigger or nothing like that. We're just trying to advocate for sports, and that's really what we're trying to do on this platform.
right. I would like to end because I received a message probably about 15 minutes ago from Mr. Mike Sands, right? Who is
Yes,
the president of NACAC.
Nakak, yes,
He's basically stating, good morning, colleagues. Let us extend a hearty congratulations to the Grenada Athletics Association on its 100-year anniversary, which was
yes,
celebrated last evening, a significant milestone by any measure.
yes. It is certainly.
Yeah, I know it's
I
a
knew, I
were
knew
you
it was, I knew it was going to be. I knew there was a talk of 100 years. I didn't
yeah,
know exactly when it was,
but I'm
but
saying
I knew.
you knew that there was a celebration last evening.
No, no, I didn't
Were
know
you
there
not
was a
aware?
celebration. No,
That's what I'm
no.
talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
And
yeah. I
what
wasn't
I'm
aware of this.
this
I knew there was something this year of 100 years of,
well, I
of
know of
sports.
both the
Yeah,
Athletics Association and the Football
and the
Association.
Olympics, and also the Olympics is 40 years of summer
But
games. I knew that,
yeah,
but I didn't know if there was going to be a celebration.
in terms of
Yeah,
centenary is the Grenada Athletics Association, the Grenada Football Association, right?
yeah.
But I'm saying I was not even aware that
Oh, there was there was a
yeah, but that's beside the point.
yeah.
Let's see if we
So
can make a wrap now. We're over time. Thank you very much to Gordon, Kyron, Jason, Martin, Ralph, Patricia. Thank you very much for being part of our program as usual. Rudian in Canada, where it starts getting cold. Certainly,
yes, it is.
yeah,
Yes, it is.
here
Yes, it
in
is.
here in Detroit, it's freezing. So I know.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, folks. Hopefully,
That was a
we'll be
pleasure.
back
Thank
with
you.
you next week, God willing. And thank you very much. Thank you, Rudian.
Have a good one. Thanks.
I thank you. All right, thank you, folks, once again. Always a pleasure having you, and I look forward to your company come next week, God's willing, for another program in our Saturday sports special, part of a Talk Sports program. Until then, do have yourself a pleasant weekend.